I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, bud.
Nice.
Awesome. About time.
It's about time.
Yes.
Well,
Like,
what happened was I have my studio set up and I downloaded TikTok on my PC.
yeah.
So I was able to hear you, but I couldn't go on screen and my mic wasn't working.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you're here now, so that's all that matters. You were saying something there before we were just kind of chit chatting there on Facebook Live. You were talking about your experience that you might have seen Bigfoot. And call out to our buddy Dustin, who wanted to come live tonight, but he had to be a DD driver.
Yeah, well, I was telling you earlier, I think I was maybe 14 years old, 13 or 14. And I used to, that's when I started to go like be interested in powwow trails and stuff. So I was always singing and just banging a stick on anything. So my grandmother has a big backyard and I was having a campfire. So I started singing away and hitting a box, like just a cardboard box, and started singing. And in my view, I could see something really tall, hairy, and just the strides it took, and it didn't take long for that big thing to jump in the woods, and there was also dogs going after it. So I haven't really said that story to anyone actually, but yeah, I believe I might have witnessed Bigfoot.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
for people who don't know, me and Dylan here are both Mi'kmaq. So I'm from Nova Scotia, he's from New Brunswick, but our family line actually ties together. We're actually cousins.
Yeah.
So, how was your day, bud? How's the baby?
Oh, the baby is good. 7 month old. Well, in 2 days she'll be 7 months,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, yeah, it's wonderful. Life's been wonderful.
And how's work going?
Work, I've been really busy. Right now, I'm doing training on videography and editing.
Oh yeah.
So, within the next weeks, because we took a lot of footage, a guy from Seattle actually came down to also do footage on the work that we do as land guardians. So, as in we protect the lands, our medicines, um, any cultural sensitive tools, I should say. Um, yeah, and it's been really interesting. But within the next weeks, this program that I'm looking at to edit my stuff, and man, it's pretty complicated to be honest, because then there's it's not just you add a video to your screen and edit right there and then you have a bunch of other stuff on one screen, like about three parts on your screen. It's just that one sequence, which is your video, and you gotta really you gotta use it. In order for you to know how to use it, you have to just do it, and so it's kind of a crash course. This instructor goes on Zoom, and then I have to share my screen and just so much stuff. It was a little bit frustrating, but I did practice it today, earlier today. It was just
Oh,
half
that's
a day,
good.
so all morning I was translating to our language, to our Mi'kmaq language, into English for the captions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, somebody asked if we said Micmac there. Yeah, we're both Mi'kmaq. It was a little bit gone by now. So what got you interested into the paranormal?
well, In 2019, when the country was on lockdown, um, I was bored. Like the whole community was just so, uh, I guess, say, unoccupied. It was dark. It was, there was no traffic. It was lockdown. So not too far away from where I live, I only had like a little iPhone and a little tiny action camera and just my phone for recording real time audio and video. So I just and also I was watching Ghost Adventures, the earlier seasons, which was was
Ghostly
pretty good.
legends.
Yeah, so I picked up on that hobby and
Yeah, I'm in Alberta. He's in New Brunswick right now, but I'm originally from Nova Scotia. And what's Micmac? Micmac, well, it's Mi'kmaq, but we're First Nations people found on the east coast of Canada, and we go down into around Maine and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, so you got interested in it because you were kind of bored, and you got curious, and
I
just
got
went out.
curious. Yeah, I went out
Went out
and
and started.
yeah, me and my girlfriend, we only used our phones. She was recording audio and I was doing video. It was both real time. So the bridge was unoccupied. There was no traffic at all. And this bridge is pretty well known of haunted sightings, and there's a bunch of stories anyways. And anyways, we tried it out. We were a bit nervous and we said, all right, we'll just walk across the bridge and we'll walk back. And we did that. What we found was uh, on the camera footage is a wet spot on the bridge, like a nice circle one, as if somebody just kind of stood there. And another thing was I was asking a question of because they use rope to swing and let go just because people go swimming there.
Yeah,
Anyways, that time I was asking her, "Wait, where's that rope at? I know it's over here somewhere. Is this it?" And you can hear a voice faintly say, "Yeah," kind of whispering it, "Yeah." So that was pretty cool. Also, footsteps behind me. You can hear it all on audio, and that's really got my attention. And I just wanted to keep doing it. Then here I am today. I'm still trying to understand it and try to you know um, do it in the most respectful way I can, and using all these scientific devices. It's a pretty good hobby I picked up. Uh, yeah, that's how I started.
awesome. I started at a really young age. I grew up in Cape Breton. Everything there is haunted. It's got lots of history, going to crazy places, but I grew up in a house. I was really old to begin with. And we're told, like, you be home alone, you'll hear things. And then you go in the basement and it sounds like somebody's walking around upstairs, but you kind of just say, oh, it's an old home. Then when, like, somebody came to our house that was like a medium. They're like, told us that the original owner of the house is in the house. I guess my bedroom was her sewing room at the time. Like, well, when she was alive. So apparently she spent a lot of time in there. And that's, we had those old radiators, like the hot water ones, you got to bleed off and stuff like that. You know which ones I'm talking about?
Yeah,
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 the big cast iron ones. We could do whatever you wanted to that. Get it super hot, put another plug in heater or whatever in there. My room was always ice cold. And then apparently it's because she was in and out of that room a lot because that was still her sewing room to her. And then she used to pick on my mom a lot by my mom had a like nice cabinets full of like this different little cups and stuff like that, China, whatever. And I guess the lady would think it's funny to just kind of move it slightly and stuff like that. But just growing up in Cape Breton, just going to crazy places, hearing crazy ghost stories. There's tons of books written, kind of just going out and investigating back then. And then as I got older, progressed and it progressed and more. And then I lived in a place up here in Alberta that was really haunted. Like you go to sleep and you just hear somebody walk. Like it was a house. You just hear somebody walking around upstairs, coming down the stairs, around up on the second floor above me. And then one morning I actually came face to face with an apparition in the friggin' in the kitchen making my lunch for work. It was crazy. But yeah, just over the years, it slowly progressed. And now I'm here doing what I'm doing now and enjoying it.
Right on, bro.
So, anyways, more about you, Dylan. What's new with you? What's besides your course and the baby being 7 months old now? People are probably. Can you explain what it means to be a land guardian as your job?
Yeah, well, as a land guardian, we have a word in Mi'kmaq. We are the Galodiget, which means protect um, we protect anything that is sacred. It's a real old Mi'kmaq word, and our basic objective really is um, basic objective at work is to protect the burial site, and
Yeah,
we also monitor coastal erosion. And what comes with that also is, um, there's no people living in the area. It's along the traffic of where boats just drive by every single day. I mean, depending on the weather, I guess. But yeah, um, we had the when the war was going on between the um, British and the French, and we were part of that too. So our ancestors were there, and it's a pretty old sacred burial site. And the only way to get there is by boat. Not very many people really know where it is. But it's been pretty interesting because I've been learning about coastal erosion, how to monitor it, how to measure it, how much land loss we've lost um, in the prior year, and we usually wait till a big storm comes up, like maybe this fall after a storm. We go and check out how much erosion has happened and if there's any uh, exposure to any of the remains that are along the banks of that landscape. So yeah, and when they do get exposed, we do a ceremony for sure, and we leave it there. But instead of we have to take certain steps on how to do the ceremony because then we have to walk about maybe a kilometer and a half in the woods and find it's I don't know if you've heard of rum runners.
yeah,
Well, yeah, that's you can even see where all the ships used to go. It's like a really huge trench looking land. You can tell just where the ships used to go. Anyways, and there's banks and hills, so we chose a spot for a special spot for us to do the ceremony, and we properly bury the remains.
yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's a very interesting job you actually have. You explained it to me before. It's pretty honorary too to have that type of job and to do that. And yeah, Somebody's talking about that reserve. Yeah, I used to live close to that reserve too. Place is pretty haunted, but I don't know if it would be the most haunted reserve in Canada or even on Turtle Island, but it does have its fair share out there for sure. So the when you did the school that time and
Yeah,
you caught that apparition, how did that make you feel? What were you thinking then?
I was actually pretty excited. I mean, at first I was, I wasn't sure, but I was like, I just saw something. And my buddy was in the gym. He was on his own. For some reason, I went to go check out the nerve center where all the other cameras are rolling. So when I was looking where he was sitting down, I saw that an apparition um, from right off the stage, and he started walking up towards the left side, right across the stage. And that was a hit because a lot of people know um, how much activity goes on in that school since she's well, way back when, because it used to be a graveyard, I guess, and they tried to get all they had to move all the remains of the people in the community, and then they built a school on top of it. So I'm guessing maybe it's a land. It's connected to the land, I do believe, because of the burials that were disturbed. So
Yeah.
there's tons of stories of people in the community that experienced a lot there, even to this day.
Oh yeah. But that's the thing. It's like they shouldn't have built that there with the burial because really they say technically you shouldn't even live in a house or anything after that if somebody passed away in it or anything like that because the death spirits kind of take it. You can do your ceremonies, you can push them out, whatever, but
Yeah.
they claim that as theirs now, right? So they'll come back in. The smell of death is in there and stuff like that. So you shouldn't even technically even live in a house. But we all know like you buy a house or whatever, or you're in a house, you got financial responsibilities, right?
Oh
So,
yeah, for sure.
but
Yes.
there's just all kinds of little things that like stuff like that, or even a burial ground. There's a rumor of a school up this way that's built. They say is haunted and might be built on top of a native burial ground, but there's no physical actual proof. But people say the school is haunted. I've never been there, but I did some research and reading up on it. But um, I'm not too sure. Like I don't doubt it's haunted, but I don't know if it's haunted because of that reason.
If I
Oh
could,
yeah.
if I could investigate a spot, I would go back to the old school because it's always active there.
Oh yeah.
And I was looking at the footage there, the one um the first time I went there, and I didn't notice, but I think I sent you a little clip there the other
Yeah.
night. I think you said you were half sleeping.
Yeah. I was trying to one eye. I'm like, what am I looking at, man? It's like I couldn't tell what I was looking at.
Anyways, that's the first time I've went back to just to look at footage because I need to clear up space on my PC. So I
Yeah.
had
I was like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. Like I was kind of confused to that, and then just eventually ended up noticing what you're talking about. But it was all good.
yeah,
You
it
can.
was.
I was like, oh,
Oh.
okay. No, after you explain to me what I need to be looking at, then I saw it. Oh yeah, there's like I got to go and explore around the Stony Plain Museum there, the Pioneer Museum. That was pretty interesting. went into a couple of their buildings, and I got to. It was funny because inside the newer building, Legacy, there it's called Legacy Road or something along those lines. Anyways, I guess Alberta Ghost Hunt was there before, and they said that they thought it was one of the more haunted, but there's tons of artifacts in there and stuff. And I was walking, I was kind of filming, and I walk past what the gas station is or whatever, and then it dings and it's like it says its little thing like, hey, do you need a top up and all that stuff, right? But it's on a sensor, so I was like way past there, and through the obelisk device, I got following you. So I turned around, and just as I turned around and I was looking down the road again, I was a good distance away from that sensor. The sensor went off again just after it said I'm following you, and it started dinging, and it started making noises and stuff. I was I'm like, is that coincidence or what? But it was pretty creepy, but it was all right at the same time. And then when I was in the early 1800s cabin there, it was a 2 floor. I had the one camera upstairs, I was filming, and then you just hear something just kind of like either get thrown or knocked over or something. And I'm on the first floor filming down there with a different camera, asking questions, and then you hear me kind of come over to the stairs and holler up to the stairs. I'm like asking about it, and then through the obelisk it said, "Are you looking for me?"
Wow.
Yeah. So and then kind of just like the same place, I went into this old church, and man, as soon as I walked in, I got hit with this potent, gross smell. And I was like, "Oh, yeah," under my like you can hear me, but it wasn't loud. I said, "Oh, this place smells." And then I started walking in, and then through the obelisk device, it said, "Smells." It's like it was like it listened to me. I'm like, "Yeah, it does smell in here for sure." I'm like, and I was asking if it was the spirit that was making it smell, or it was just the place. Like, yeah, like there's some pretty. I think one of the most scariest things though is there's this old like it's collapsing, 1 room schoolhouse not far from me. And I went there, and I got some stuff first time I went there. The second time I went there, I was standing inside a part that wasn't collapsed, and I was going to set up some equipment. And then I just hear like I can hear something walking. And then I was looking at the door. There's only one way in and out of this place. And then next thing you know, this porcupine is standing in the door looking at me like, what are you doing here? And I'm glad it went under the school, but yeah, it could have not been so nice if it came in. It was upset because it was in its house, but that was probably like, I'm like, oh, I don't want to get hit by that guy. That would suck.
I
That
think
would
the
really suck.
the last investigation I did was um spirit poker.
Oh yeah, I remember that spear poker. You went to that old abandoned house, yeah.
Yeah, and it was my buddy's house. I guess it's really old anyways, and he just couldn't live there anymore because of all the activity that was going on in his house. So
Yep.
he abandoned it. And so I went there and I asked him, tell me a little bit of history on this house. He told me, well, it used to be a party house. People used to come there, drink, and play poker and whatnot. And, okay, cool. So I brought poker chips. I brought cards, and me and my buddy sat there and set up a spirit box. We had it going, and there was some compelling answers coming through it every time we asked it to um, if it was gonna call or fold or if they're raising and how much. There was some compelling answers coming through. It was pretty good. I even wanted to start up a little bundle there and call it Spirit Poker.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I have some upcoming stuff like the Lac La Biche Museum. I was they reached out and I was talking with them, and they think their place is haunted because it used to be the Jubilee Hall. Um, they used to have all the family kind of stuff happen there over the years, like graduations, dances, and stuff like that. And they said when they were remodeling, the activity really spiked, and they'd be outside and you hear like old time country music, you hear a bunch of different stuff, and then when you walk in, it just goes away. So they would like me to come there and kind of do my thing, kind of look around, see it after hours, and kind of gauge if did the activity kind of stop after everything, after they all set up, got all the everything done they wanted to do, because they feel like it's not as active as it used to be, but they'd like to know because if it is active, then we might in the month of October kind of do a public ghost hunt, allow people in to kind of poke around and try to find some stuff, right? Find out for themselves if they want to or not. And if you're like in the Edmonton area, you can always go over to Fort Edmonton Park. They have Fort Edmonton Park Paranormal. I think you get like 4.5 hours. They even supply equipment, and you get to go in some of the haunted places there. That place is pretty cool and creepy. So it's like, yeah, you get like 4.5 hours. But yeah, they got the Firkland's house there, man. That thing's been on Creepy Canada and everything, and some pretty interesting stuff. I actually was in the Firkland's house doing an investigation myself, and there is the upstairs is known that you're supposed to be able to hear kids sometimes and whatnot. And I was on the upstairs and I was filming, and it was quiet. And all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, it's in the middle of a park. Like you can't like, and all you hear is a baby cry. Like you can hear a
Oh,
baby crying. And I'm like, wow, like what the hell?
that's crazy.
You know,
That
like
would
it
give
was
me the chills,
crying, and
man.
it was like it did, and it was the same area. So in that, I was standing basically in the same area. And one other time I was there, it said, "I will flash the lights through the obelisk." And then there's people on the first floor. And I didn't like, I don't know who they were or whatever. And all of a sudden, I just hear people like scream and holler. And then I was listening, and they're like, "Those lights were just flicking, like flashing off and on." And then just after they said that, through the obelisk, it goes, "She loves to scare people." I was like, oh, okay. So she, whoever it was, pre-warned me, and then yeah, and then friggin' started flashing lights on the first floor. I heard the people hollering, and it told me she loves to scare people. So that was pretty interesting too. Like, oh man, just I've been in some pretty crazy predicaments and places. I've been pushed. Actually, I was with Dustin, and felt like somebody grabbed it, kind of gave me a little push. But around that area too, it's like there is like stories of that and stuff, and then um, there is supposed to be a First Nations man that hangs out around there too. Uh, So, but we're at the Dean House in Calgary that time, and there's like tons of different ghost stories about that place and different people haunting it. But one of them is that there is a spirit of a Aboriginal man there. So I don't know who touched me, but it was interesting because I was listening to the spirit box with headphones, right? So, then I actually kind of, it spooked me. I was kind of like, first I felt it and I was like, huh, did something just touch me? Right? And just whatever, right? And then it happened again. I was like, and I pulled my headphones out and I was like talking to Dustin. I was like, hey, it felt like somebody. And then I felt it again, and that's when I moved. And when I moved, I kicked Dustin's camera over. Recording.
I remember looking at that clip.
Oh, it sounds like somebody's firing fireworks off in the background. But yeah, like there's that. And then one other time, this is when my son was just born. And I was laying in bed, and it sounded like somebody was in his room. Like you know when you hear something like somebody trips over toys or kicks toys, you hear that, right? But he was only a newborn, and there shouldn't even be toys on his floor, right? He's like literally a few months old. We jumped out of bed, we had to check, and like there was no one. Like he wasn't even actually at the house at that time. He was spending the night with Danny and Poppy, and it was like sounded like somebody broke in, like came through the sliding window or something in the room. No, nothing. But that place was creepy as hell too, because turn off every light in the condo, go out, come back, and like lights would be on. So it made no sense. And called the landlord of the place and like, hey, do you ever coming into the place or something? Like, like, are you coming in here and you're not supposed? And they're like, no, no. So we're like, okay. I was like, so then it's like there's a crawl space hatch that was in the kitchen area and the like kind of like the pantry. So we're like, maybe somebody's crawling through there and coming in apartments, right? Go from one apartment to the next because it's just for like hatch for people to like tell us or whatever to get in to get at your internet wires and stuff. So left the thing of water on top of that hatch, everything, nothing, never moved, nothing. But lights were back on in the house. It was cool. And that's the same house I was sweeping once, and like the mop or whatever came, it was like leaning against the wall around the corner and somehow hit me in the back. So that's
That's crazy, bro.
some personal stuff that I was like, some personal stuff that like happened, and it's like I wasn't out looking for it, but it was happening. It's like, oh man, I'm like, why is this place haunted?
Yeah, the only time that I actually felt someone hit me was I was reviewing my audio recorder for EVPs for whatever sessions I was doing that time. Anyways, I was just sitting there at the table reviewing this. I had my headphones on and everything, and then it felt like someone someone fucking hit the top of my head. Or it what it really felt like was there was something above my head, and when I stood up, I kind of like banged into it. That's what it
Yeah.
felt like.
Oh yeah. That
So that
was
was
kind of
that.
creepy.
Yeah, that was the only physical experience that happened to me. I don't think I've ever got touched or anything like that. But it's mostly just chills. I follow my body as a conductor, right?
Well, it's the best device you can have, right? You can have all the other devices and stuff, but your like skin and your body, like your senses will be way more
Oh yeah,
intuitive than those things. You'll know. And
yeah.
then I see my reserve is called Member Two First Nations. It's in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. There's so many things there that are possibly haunted. Like just everything. My one of my cousins is a police officer down there, and he even told me he's like, because we have a little police station with a holding cell and stuff. He says that place creeps him out so bad that when he's posted there, he won't even go in the building unless he has to. He'll sit in his car, like out in the squad car or something, because every time he's ever gone in there, he's like he'll hear things like voices. He'll hear stuff get moved around or anything. He's like, nope. He's like, I'm out of that place, man. He's like, unless he's there with somebody else, he's the only time he'll spend time in there. Is there's another officer or whatever with him, and then we have the hotel. You're familiar with Member Two, right?
Oh yeah. Well,
You know how we have the big hotel and stuff on the reserve, right?
oh yeah.
So there's a they seen her. They even gave her a name and stuff. There's a little child that walks around there. Supposedly, when they built the hotel, like the hotel wasn't on original reserve land. That was land that we bought that was next to the reserve to put it up and stuff like that. And apparently, they found some stuff there of a little girl and supposedly they think she's haunting it because it's connected to our trade center too, and they see her in there occasionally too, and stuff like that. Uh, Dawn Wells, a member to same reserve I'm from, she kind of does Haunted Cape Breton, and she has her own little TV show and stuff on one of those streaming platform network things, kind of like Netflix, but whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
she does her whole series. She makes movies and everything, right? Um, she did a bunch of investigations too, and then there's inside the Trade and Convention Center. There's a story of one of the women was sitting at the desk, and she could see monitor. She can see all the cameras and stuff, right? And it was after hours, and she could see like a guy and two women or whatever in this boardroom, and they shouldn't be in there, right? So she went to go tell them, "Hey, you can't be in there." And she went there and she checked out the room, and there was no one in there. So she went back to her desk, and then she's like, she saw them on the screen again. She's like, "What?" So her and another woman walked over there, and they're like, "Nothing's there," or whatever, right? So they had the security guard sit and watch the monitor, and the security guard could see them walk into the room, but he could also see the people like that weren't supposed to be in there were in there, and they couldn't see them with their own eyes, but the guy could see them. Like, it's crazy. It's like lots of haunted stories about my reserve too. It's like, and then at the old at the old daycare, it was inside of our old kind of like our gym setup type thing, and it's like one of the daycare workers was there, and she thought she saw a kid in an area that wasn't supposed to be in. They kind of had like a big parka jacket and stuff on, and then they're like, she's like, "Hey, you can't be in there." And she went to go get the kid or whatever, and poof, the kid just disappeared.
It seems like in our First Nation communities, there's a lot of connection to spirits and hauntings and all these developments that we have here, and
Yeah,
almost it, there's so many stories from all across the Maritimes that I've heard, anyways, and it's always connected in the First Nation community.
yeah. Oh yeah, like there's so many. Like even after my aunt was telling me once after my grandfather passed away there, and he used to always play this handheld poker game. And after he passed away, she turned it off, whatever, put it up in the cupboard. And she said she was just in the house one day, and she actually thought she kind of like got a smell, and it kind of reminded her of him, right? Thinking of that smell, right? And then all of a sudden, the poker game somehow just started going off, right? So she's like thought it was him, right? Just because she smelt him, and then that happened doesn't necessarily mean that he was there. The poker machine could have done it itself, right? But
Yeah,
then I worked at the gas station on the reserve, and back in the day we had the poker machine, like the VLTs in the back room, right? And the manager and the owner were in there after hours, kind of doing their thing or whatever, and then they had all the machines shut off. And this elder from the reserve who used to play this one machine all the time, he only played that one for some, and then after he passed away, and then they're in there, and that machine somehow booted itself back up and was like playing. And they went in there and said his name. Hey, oh, we're closed. You got to go home for the night. And then it never happened again, right? So
yeah, yeah.
some
Oh
of the
yeah,
stuff is
something.
like kind of crazy. Like even like apparently, my cousin worked in the same store, and the store is built. They backfilled in the area. It was a pond at one time, kind of like area, whatever, kind of like a pond, kind of marshland. And apparently, the rumor is somebody had passed away. A little boy passed away, drowned in that pond a long time ago. Is what they say. And so apparently, she's like always seen this little boy in the store. You just catch like kind of moving around when no one's in there. You just see the top of a head or whatever. She was always freaked out working there. Yeah, even like in the newer sections. the newer sections, apparently like stuff happens in those brand new homes up there too. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it's almost the same here. They have a new street. It's called Autumn Drive, and almost all the houses look the same. But there's even stories of um, excavators. Their engine just shuts off like out of nowhere, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with their excavators. I think it's just whatever entity that was there. It was must have been a real strong energy force where it just stopped their excavators from running because they were disturbing the land where there must have been some you know other burials that we didn't know of. So
Yeah,
a lot of those houses now have activities going on.
yeah. It's just like I love the paranormal, but I also feel that there's a lot of not real stuff going on in the paranormal sometimes. Like some of the
Yeah,
shows that people love to watch, kind of a little bit of fakery going on, over embellishing something, calling something paranormal when they don't take the 2 minutes to kind of debunk it or whatever. Kind
yeah,
of like, I get it. They want the views, they want to make the money off of it, they want to be entertaining and stuff, right? I do get it, but it's like at the same time, it's like, I don't know, like, it's not my style. Like, I don't even really edit. I kind of just slap stuff up, right? I kind of like start shooting and don't stop. And I have
yeah,
really nothing to edit unless I have two cameras going. Then I gotta edit the two cameras together, like when shit kind of happens. But
yeah,
like I don't know, I'm kind of just a. But also, if something happens, I'll stop and I'll try to recreate it. Like, was that me? Did I do that? It's like I take a couple minutes to try to figure it out right there. But like, I think paranormal is real, for sure. 110%. I believe in the afterlife. I believe there's spirits and stuff. I do believe in different types of spirits and stuff like that. But I just, I don't, I don't know. There's some shows I just can't watch just because it's like over editing, over exaggeration. And then, I don't know. What's your opinion on haunted dolls?
um well, it depends what type of energy has been given to them. Like it can be any type of object, and if it's seen or witnessed, a lot of emotion within that either a child's lifespan or the household. It depends what type of energy that was going on there, and I believe it holds that. And if anything, like it can show these things to other people. Like that's what I believe, anyways.
Yeah. See, I think maybe possibility they could be haunted dolls, but for some reason, do you find there's like a surge of it lately? If you're watching stuff, it's just like everybody seems to want to have a haunted doll. Or we have a haunted doll. Like some people have like 50 haunted dolls. It's like at what point are these dolls really haunted or not? Like I can't say if they are or not, but I'm just it makes me think, like it makes me curious because I'm always curious. I'm always thinking like kind of makes me think like okay, another thing I was thinking about. I was watching what was I watching today? Oh, I was watching Haunted Nights. Do you ever watch those guys?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Well, they go around different places. They have their like tours and stuff like that too. It's a solid channel. Like I don't mind watching it. But then I was like, because they're over in Ireland, okay? Ireland and Scotland. They're visiting these old, really old castles, right? And they're running like Spear Talker and stuff like that, right? But these castles date back to like the 1300s and the 1400s, right? And they're getting English words coming through the Spear Talker and stuff. But at the same time, they didn't speak it. They had their own dialect and their own languages. They didn't speak English until the English invaded and took over, started taking over, and started trying to like take over Ireland and Scotland and stuff, right? Because like the Scottish, they had their like they had their own language. The Irish had their own language. They had different versions. It doesn't matter if you were from what. Well, it did. It mattered if you were from the north or the south or whatever. They had their own dialects, right? Just like First Nations people. Right? We had our own languages and we spoke different languages. Like we had the same whatever, right? So that's what gets me is if you think you're talking to somebody from the 1300s, like, and you're getting like English words through your spirit talker and necrophonic, whatever, right? What's your thoughts on that? Because I almost think it's like, unless it can translate or something, I don't know. Unless like when you go to the next life, you can talk any language. I don't know, but
Geez, I wouldn't really know either, but I would try to speak my language every once in a while, just because everyone speaks that fluently around here,
yeah,
except the younger generation. But still, when you're speaking your language, and these spirits are old, so I'm pretty sure they understand me if I were to ask them questions.
yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it would be the same for anywhere else around the world.
yeah. It's just what made me think. I was like thinking that today after I was watching. I was like, wait a minute, how can they answer in English? And they just like in the same breath of that, like they even said, hey, they were talking about the different languages that the Irish spoke on their show too. They're like, oh, they spoke this and whatever, and then they break out Spirit Talker. Right?
Yeah,
I can see if because it's an old castle, right? I'm not saying it could have been contacting some, the English did come and take a lot of those castles over, and so like there was English speaking people like that came through and stuff like that. But maybe they're speaking to them. I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't there. I kind of
yeah.
don't know, but it's just like, huh. So you have any experiences with shadow people?
Um, I do. I mean, it's really just the corner of your eye kind of type. So, but usually when I see that kind of stuff, it's kind of like they've come to tell me, like, my intuitions, I guess. And usually it's um, they're here to send me a message. So
Yeah.
that's most of the time, anyways. And that's really what it is when I see shadow figures and whatnot.
Yeah.
But would I like to use when I go out and do an investigation somewheres, or just to go do something. I like using the laser grid, the
Oh yeah.
flashlight,
Yeah.
and in hopes, I'd catch a shadow, because you can catch a shadow that way, right? You can just tell when it walks across those laser beams.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I would like to see.
I catch shadow figures out of the corner of my eye too sometimes and whatever, but I've never had like sleep paralysis or seen one in Santiago. Well, actually, I guess kind of. I was working in camp in Fort McMurray. It was a newer camp, but it's funny because somebody else that I worked with had an experience, and he pretty similar to what and pretty similar to the one I had, and we never talked about it. So until we brought it up, and then they're like, "Oh, that happened to you too." I was in camp. I was in my room, and it was funny because I left Ghost Tube running all night because it would record, right? It'll record all the words that come through and stuff. But I was like, I'll set it up for the night because I just felt eerie in that room the whole time. And actually, so I felt like something was standing at the foot of my bed, and I was ignoring it. I was like, I even said, ah, leave me alone, right? Going to sleep. And then it sounded like somebody hit like the closet door thing, like on the armoire or whatever. It hit it. Oh, it just made this big noise. I said, you don't scare me, go away. I never had, but somebody said they woke up. They woke up in the middle of the night once and they said they swear they saw a shadow figure standing in the corner of the room. So, but when it comes to shadow figures, you gotta remember they're created by the creator as well, right? So everything has its purpose, right? So they we are when we're created, we're given five fingers, right? And then we're given eyes, noses, and stuff like that, right? Where the shadow figures, when they were created, they're much older than we are, much older. Because when the creator created everything, he created darkness and he created light. Without each other, there's no existence, right? You always have to have that balance, right? Light and dark. That's why it's like, and it's almost like you need that balance of evil and good too to make everything kind of go the way it needs to go. And the shadow figures were created in that gray area where it's not light, it's not dark, like the shadowy area. And when the creator goes ahead and decides he's going to create us, right? Then the reason why I feel that we see so many shadow figures and other people have spoken to and other other people in that are First Nations as well and kind of deep into it too. What it is they're jealous of us, right? So that's why they talk about the shadow figure with the hat, like the Hat Man, right? The closest they can become to a five-figure being, like a human, was to don something like a hat, a coat, stuff like that, and they stand over you and try to like give you those sleep paralysis. They try to do the best they can to scare you, and because they're jealous, they couldn't figure out how to steal our features, right? They wanted our features, they wanted all that stuff, right? They were jealous, right? Basically, hey, we want that. And we're upset that the creator made us the way we are, right? So it just boils down to kind of jealousy. So yeah, a lot of the time, they're menacing. They will give you nightmares or stand in your room. They kind of do all that stuff, creep over you, kind of do all that textbook stuff you see in the movies almost, right? Or hear about. But almost in almost in reality, that's about as much as they can do, right?
Oh
But it
yeah.
is pretty scary, right? Because if they could have done something to us and got our features, they would have had them already, right? But there's all that, and then like there's so much layers to everything. Like we're only one being that was created. There's all these other beings, right? That are created as well, and they all have jobs, right? You know what a soul eater is?
I guess it depends what type of leader you're talking about.
Like a soul eater, what their purpose is. They're in the afterlife, kind of like in that they sit in that realm after you pass away. See, when you pass away, right? So in tons of different cultures, right? And even in different cultures within the native community, there is different ceremonies and stuff, right? But reality, like how it mixes all together everywhere is there's always somebody comes to get you, right? From your family, like a family member will come and help you go. You hear about stories of people like dying in the hospital and they're seeing people there that are not there, right? But that's just their family members. So if you end up passing away, no one comes to get you, right? You're left there. You're left in limbo almost in the middle, right? So it's like Earth, limbo, the afterlife, right? So you're here, you're stuck here. If too much too many souls get stuck here, the place gets crowded, right? So the soul eater's purpose of his job or her job, whatever, their job is to make sure that that area stays more clean, right? So their whole purpose is the creator created them to devour, to take that power, that soul's energy, devour it like food, for that area doesn't get cluttered up, and we have all these wandering spirits, right? Um, but they have their rules and regulations that they have to go by, right? So that's one theory to why there's haunted places, right? So if there's a haunted house or a haunted building, because reality, soul eater, it's some say soul eaters are not allowed inside buildings. Okay, so if you're a soul and you end up inside of a house, or if you die and you're in the house and like you can see like that spirit can see that there's a soul eater there for it, right? Never leave the house, right? Because soul eater you can't come in, so they're haunting the building, right? So we're like, oh,
Okay, yeah.
right. So, but then you get people who come in, some groups and whatever, and they try to push the spirit out of the house. So you're helping the spirit pass, and it passes fine, right? Goes into the light, passes, or you push it outside, and now the soul eater got it, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like one of those things. You really push a spirit out of a building or out of the thing, or it's like if that's real, is the soul eater getting it? So did you do? Is it hide? Is the spirit only hiding in the house because of that, or whatever? Right? Just keeps living its life inside the house, right? As it did, right?
So it's
So this
basically
is
just stuck in the house, right?
yeah, it's hiding in the house, right? So it's
Yeah.
like there's a bully outside, and you throw your kid out to the bully. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, it's just like I don't know. I think a lot, and there is quite a few people out there that um come in the buildings and they think they know what they're doing and try to have ceremonies and try to do stuff
Oh
and
yeah.
push things like they're actually doing way worse for the people than they are because they just upset whatever's in that house even more, right? Trying to make it. It's like oh you're trying to get rid of me, are you? Like have a deal. That's like that's why I believe like this and I know this when it comes to the Mi'kmaq people too. Sage is just used for ceremonial purposes, right?
Yeah.
It also
Yeah.
uses a tea. It's used for ceremony. Helps cleanse the area, kind of the air up and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
It's not used. My personal opinion. This is my opinion. It's not used to push anything out of your house. Like it, from what my understanding is, sage will just put something to sleep, and it comes back and it's more mad. That's why people talk about, oh, I saged my house. It was peaceful for like a month or two, and then it seemed like it got worse again. Yeah, because it woke up and it was like, hey, did you just literally try to like do some harm to me? So now it's even more mad, right? So what I hear, like, uh, sweetgrass is actually a lot better for that to actually cleanse your house with and stuff like that. And it really boils down to what's your belief system, right? So you got people out there who are not First Nations or whatever. You turn to what your belief system is in your church or whatever, right? To help you with that type of stuff. Because our spirituality is different than other people's spirituality, right? We believe in different stuff. We believe in different ways of dealing with it than other people, right? So it's not like a cut and dry thing, right? So like you see, like people need priests to come in or the rabbi or whatever, right? So it boils down to that stuff too,
Well, sometimes you have random spirits attached to you, right? And you bring those home too.
right?
You don't know if they're good or bad, but yeah, I mean, yeah, sage is used for ceremonial purposes, and it also, it's to, like you said, to cleanse the whatever is. Anyways, I like I use it here at the house because it actually works for me. but I gotta, it's because of the attachments that I might have brought home that, they don't belong on the house. It's
Hmm.
not a spirit that belongs here. But if there was a spirit that actually belongs with the house, then, that's a different story for me, the way I
Yeah.
see it, anyways. So, I would smudge the house because I've brought something home.
Yeah.
So, I'll just, I'll let, I always ask for the good ones to stick around, but the ones that are not welcomed here or are not, you know, um, the ones that are not even familiar with who we are or our household, and I
Yeah.
ask them respectfully to leave, and it works. It works. It quiets down again.
Yeah, because like my nephew, him and his now, well, him and his woman at the time, well, I guess still is his woman, sorry, but they were only a young couple and they got their first apartment in Edmonton there, and man, that place, oh, that place was haunted, dude. And even her dad came in and tried to, after he smudged, my nephew said it got worse, way worse in the house, right? It's like like they couldn't even stay there sometimes. It got bad. They had to move. There was no more ands and buts about it. They moved. But yeah, it was like, yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It's like when you're smudging too, or you're trying to cleanse a house, you need to have those pure thoughts in your head. You got to pray. You got to ask for the ancestors' help, right? You need to be doing it in a good matter, like,
Oh yeah,
right? You got to be doing it clear, clean,
gotta
right?
be sincere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're asking for help from your ancestors and stuff like that. Like, so I don't know. Like, sometimes it just happens that
I
way.
mean, I do believe that sometimes it doesn't work. It may just put a temporary plug on it, and that's about it. I mean, it depends how haunted the house is.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just gonna slow it down for a little bit, but like you said, it might get angry once it starts to be active again.
Yeah. Yeah, like stuff like that. It's just like just I don't know. At some point though, you're probably better off just hoping and praying that somebody's listening to you on the other side, but also using a tobacco, right? A tobacco
Yeah.
offering. Like, hey, because tobacco is like gold on the spiritual side, right? It's like, hey, I'm going to offer you tobacco, but hey, if you take this tobacco, this means XYZ. You can't stay here no more. You can't do this no more. Whatever, right? So offering tobacco, whatever, and then just using all your protections that you know that come from your heritage, right?
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that, or it's like just. I guess for some people, the best thing is just stay out of haunted places if you don't want stuff coming home with you, because it's guaranteed. I've been followed too, right? So
Yeah.
I've been around some stuff and had things happen. That's why I have one that follows me around everywhere. It's Steve, right? I picked him up in a freaking graveyard. He follows me everywhere, and that's why I did that, that trend for Netflix there, or whatever, about
No.
Steve, right?
Oh
That's
yeah.
why I did that one because that's where I picked him up, right? So yeah, like we had.
That's interesting. What time is it? Is where you're at, bro?
What?
What time is it where you're at?
Right now it is 10:40. I know it's pretty late for you, so we'll
Uh,
probably uh we'll probably call it a night. We'll do this
yeah.
again. All right, bud. Have a good
Oh
sleep.
yes.